All right, good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining the Early Learning Coalition call with us this afternoon. We're handling an echo issue. I think we got it resolved. If y'all could, just let us know if you can hear us and see the agenda up on your screen. If you could type in the box for us, we'd appreciate it. Okay, great. Looks like we're online and ready to go. So the first thing I want to do quickly is just go around our table here and introduce everyone at the coalition who's attending today. I'm Scott Stevenson. I'm the Quality Initiatives Director.
Deanna Johnson, CFO.
Elizabeth Viola, Chief Program Officer.
Mary Brewster, Provider Relations.
Marcel Easter, Business Information Director.
And Roseanne Fricks. I have the pleasure of serving as your CEO.
All right, thank you. So we'll jump right into the agenda today, and I'm actually going to turn it back over to Roseanne to introduce our special guest.
Good afternoon, everybody. And of course, as usual, I'd like to thank you for taking time from your schedules to join us, because we know all of you are very busy. And for some of you that may have started BPK yesterday, congratulations. We're looking forward to hearing nothing but good things as you work with those little ones, preparing them for kindergarten. And for those of you about to embark on that adventure, maybe sometime later this week or in the next couple of weeks, thank you so much for being there for our kids and for venturing out to provide a safe environment for the kids in BPK. We'll talk about that a little bit more in depth later on in the call, but I would like to also thank Congressman Webster for joining us today. It's my pleasure to introduce to you U.S. Congressman Daniel Webster. He does represent the 11th Congressional District, which includes Citrus, Lake, Hernando, Marion, and Sumter counties. He is a member of the Transportation and Infrastructure and Natural Resources Committee. He did spend some time in the Florida legislature from 1980 to 2008 and served as the Speaker of the Florida House and Majority Leader in the Florida Senate, working in those roles to pass sweeping reforms that earned him widespread praise from the people of Florida. Congressman Webster is a small business owner, a family man with 6 children and 19 grandchildren. That's just awesome. For he is known for many things, but certainly Congressman Webster holds his faith, family, and principles as his biggest assets. Thank you so much, Congressman Webster, for joining us today, and we're going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, it's good to be with you today. I'm just checking in. I can't really attend anything much. Most things are done virtual, and it's just the way it is. But it reminds me of a lot of things I've experienced in the past with the Early Learning Coalition. It's about, 20 some years ago. Gets away from me now, but where I worked on the very legislation we did when we did the voluntary pre-K and also the early learning, doing all the things we're looking for in kids to make sure they get prepared to launch themselves into their first grade in elementary school is just an awesome thing. We worked with that, and at the same time as when I was speaker, I worked with Jack Levine to create healthy kids and that turned healthy families, and that turned out to be a really awesome program. I've gone back several times and pleaded and begged for them to continue the funding of that, but I think it's pretty well fixed, and the history is the history. It works, and so that was great too. I was always a believer in early education, early start, getting people ready for school, making sure we understood who was ready and who wasn't ready. The big discussion about that, and I found out that there were a few that were stragglers that needed more help and more work, but if we left them in the way they were, it was just going to take all the teachers' time. So we worked out all those small little details and came up with something that's just blossomed, and thank you for being a part of it. It's an awesome thing, county by county. It's something that I believe is made education much better in the early years because the kids are prepared to learn. And so I'm excited for what you do. Thank you for what you do and your service to the community and to the children of our community. Oh, by the way, I have one more grandchild on the way, so I've got 20. And so it's getting out of hand a little bit, but it's
That's
awesome.
20. You got a whole classroom of VPKers then.
It is. They would be a group to really, it'd be hard to handle them. So congratulations on what you do. I can't imagine sometimes with 3 or 4 of them that we keep at one time, they are out of hand. But anyway, it's great to be with you. Thank you for what you do. I thank you for the privilege of checking in with you. And if anybody has a question, I can answer it. But other than that, I'm just listening.
If anybody has a question for Congressman Webster, if you would just go ahead and type it in. And while we may have someone doing that, I definitely would like to thank you for your support for all of these years, Congressman, for early learning, certainly at the local level before you even got into things at the state and in Tallahassee as you work for the state and now at the federal level. We appreciate your continued support and recognition of the difference that early learning does make for our children. So thanks so much. Marcy, do we have any questions for the Congressman or no?
Not right at this moment.
Well, Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. We know that your schedule is very full, so we appreciate it and are going to move on with our agenda. And if any questions come in, I will email them to you through Cindy. So thank you so much, Congressman.
Yes, thank you. And yes, Cindy's always there, no matter when and where. So we appreciate her too.
Yes, we do. Thank you so much. All right, Scott, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you. Moving on the agenda, we're always happy to have our good partners at DCF on the call. And we have today Richard Forrester, who is going to give us a few updates. So Richard, if you can hear me, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Scott. Hey, Roseanne. Hey, Elizabeth. Appreciate y'all.
Hi.
So I know that Elizabeth wanted me to talk about mask requirements and what DCF role is in providers and children wearing masks. We don't have a standard on that, so we don't monitor that. So if we go in there and you're not wearing a mask, there's nothing we can do. All we could do is give you a guidance and highly recommend that you wear the mask and follow the CDC and your local Department of Health requirements or recommendations. But also, if there's a local ordinance that requires you to wear a mask, then you need to follow that local ordinance. Now, I know Ocala just mandated it, but then I think the mayor turned around and then vetoed that. So I think that's still kind of going through the works right now to determine what they're going to do as far as mandated masks. And if there's not a local, like your city ordinances, you may also want to look to see if your county, which would be Marion County, would have an ordinance as far as wearing a mask, because that would trump anything other than what the Department of Health or the CDC recommends. Other than that, I want to give you some other updates. I think, as you know, because to reduce the risk right now, our counselors are doing routine inspections telephonically. And we're still doing however, we're still doing the renewals face-to-face. So, but if it's time for your renewal and you're closed due to the COVID, you're currently not operational, we ask that you contact your counselor as soon as you reopen so that the counselor can go out there and they will do a routine inspection. And they'll put in the comment section that this is a follow-up to the renewal that wasn't able to get done because of you being non-operational. What let me see what else. Also, I want to strongly recommend that you contact your counselor when you do have to shut down, even if it's for a couple of days. So if you end up getting a verified report where a child or a staff member has verified COVID, immediately contact your Department of Health, and then they will give you some recommendations. A lot of times they're asking facilities just to close down for 1 or 2 days and do a deep cleaning. So even if you're closing down for 1 or 2 days, please let us know. And also let your counselor know if you have any verified reports. We're kind of keeping a tally of that across the region. It's not an official record. We're just trying to get a foundation of what's happening. And I think as of this morning, we've had 128 children across the region, which includes 16 counties in the central region, who've tested positive for COVID, and 175 staff members. So even though we're not monitoring masks, we still highly recommend that you wear them. And also take all the precautions as far as the cleaning and the washing the hands and wiping down toys and disinfecting everything after children use them. Be mindful though how you're using that stuff. Make sure that children aren't in the rooms when you are using chemicals to disinfect. Let me see if there's anything else. I wrote down a few other notes. If we do get to the renewal and you are open, however, you haven't been able to get your fire inspection due to the fire marshal being behind, we're still going to go forward with your renewal. And we're going to give you a provisional. Or if there's any other standards that you can't complete that's not beyond your control, we're still going to give you a provisional. Then as soon as you're able to rectify those standards, contact your counselor so that we can put you back on as a regular license. But with that, if y'all have any questions, if you can email them real quick or type them into Elizabeth or Scott and let me know, I'll try to answer them. And if I can't answer them, I'll find the answer and get back with Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Richard. You covered the point exactly that I had asked you to talk about the math, and I really appreciate that. So we're going to look and see if we have any questions right now.
Okay.
None at this time.
Not as, so if they want to, they can always email me directly or email their or contact their counselor for any questions. Also, go to the Tallahassee, the Office of Child Care Regulations has their website, and there's an FAQ sheet on there. It's a list of questions from across the state and answers to those questions related to COVID and any other thing that surrounds school openings and cleaning and disinfecting. So I recommend that you go to the website and look at those FAQs.
Okay, awesome. I will include that in our next COVID update that we send out. We'll put that in there. And I think we do have a question, Richard.
Okay.
It says the DCF website now shows a requirement of a universal safety precaution plan required annually. Can you give us some explanation on what this is, please?
I'm going to have to get back with you on that. So it's a universal, what is it again?
Safety precaution. Universal safety precaution plan.
Okay. I'm going to have to reach out to Tallahassee to find out what that is. And then I can email Elizabeth back, and then she can send that out in an email blast to the providers.
Perfect.
And I can stay on if you want me to, Elizabeth. And if there's any other questions, you can just reach out to me. Well, I'll just keep you, I'll stay on the whole webinar if you want me to.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay.
There's just one other quick question that just popped up. how
Yep.
exactly is telephonic routine inspection going to work?
There's going to be a list of standard questions that they're going to ask. It's not going to be a thorough thing, but it's going to be more like questions like they're going to ask you questions of when you did your fire drills, and that type of thing. Probably your meal. They're going to ask you the standard what they look for, but stuff that's tangible. Nothing that that it's going to be tangible questions that they're going to be asking. So, and very simple.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
All right. Well, thank you, Richard. We appreciate you being on the call and being available to us to answer questions.
Yep, you're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much. All right, moving on. If we have any other questions, ask Richard, we'll let you know. Next on our agenda is a brief reimbursement review. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Deanna Johnson, our CFO here at the Coalition.
Good afternoon, guys. As promised, we said that we were going to do a brief train on how to pull and look at your reimbursement detail report. So if you look at the screen now, you'll see I can't read this. Sorry, I can't read the screen. It's a good thing I have it in front of me. So what we have in front of you is how to access and analyze your monthly payment report. So the first thing you want to do is sign into your OEL, the OEL Coalition portal, and then you want to click on your attendance tab. It's a safe place where you go and enter your monthly attendance. And then your third option down under your manage your attendance is click on your reimbursement details. When you click on the reimbursement details, you get a pop-up screen, and that's shown there in the picture 4A. And there you'll select your payment period. Now remember, your payment period is a month that we are actually paying you, not the attendance period. So for example, for July, we are actually processing your June attendance, but your July reimbursement period. So you'll select your, you'll see a picture where it says details for step 4. You'll select what program you want and what pay, is that the service period?
No, those are the payment periods.
Okay, so that is the actual payment period. So if you want to see July 2020, you'll select July 2020, and that's going to be for your June attendance. And I know it's confusing, but it's going to be, what you select for July is going to be for the prior month attendance. But it's basically everything is processed and what you're being paid for in that given month. And when you click on step 5, it's click on download. And then when you download, it's going to prepare a PDF report for you. And then on the next screen is a sample of what the PDF report looks like. And so what it does, it gives you a report. It has your name and your address. It has the service periods. So if there's multiple service periods, the service periods will be broken up. So it will show you, so if you are doing a reclaim, it will show you like it's March, April, May, or June. It will have a total for each service period, and it'll have a grand total at the very bottom of the report. It will list every individual child that was paid for. It will tell you whether or not that the parent has allowed and authorized for you to do a ELC assessment, which is an ASQ assessment. The next column, which is column number 5, is the billing group and eligibility code for that particular child. Column 6 is a unit and level of care, so whether or not the child has been approved for full-time or part-time care, and what care level. So if the child is 3, 4, 5-year-old, school age, infants, or toddlers. And then the record type. Now you'll see here number 7, you'll see it's MTH is monthly, so that's your regular attendance. If it says PPA, that's a prior period adjustment. And LIA is a line item adjustment. That is when the coalition has to do an adjustment for something. CAA or CAR is a child assessment adjustment. And then a PRF is when we are paying for the child's registration fee. Column 8 is the days to be paid. That is the number of days that we are reimbursing you for. Column 9 is the daily total reimbursement rate. So the daily reimbursement, that column will be is the total maximum rate that the coalition is contracted to pay you. So that will also include, so if you are contracted, so for example, for PR3, for a contracted child care center, or for a 3-year-old, it's $18.10. But if you have a differential for your class assessment and you get a 4% assessment, that assessment percentage is also included into that daily reimbursement rate as well. So this example is just based upon our minimum assessment. But that rate would be the total amount. Column 10 is the match amount if you had, for a BG8 child, if you have a match. And then column 11 is the daily copay fee for that particular child. This example is showing $0 because I'm showing this example for the current cycle. The gross amount is your daily cello rate times your days paid, and then less the copay. So that would be doing the math of your gross amount less the parent fees. If you have gold seal total, so if you have gold seal, you'll take your gold seal times your total days paid. PFP, that is your gold, your quality performance incentives total. That is column 15. Column 16 is your child assessment, and that is for those who qualify for the child assessment rates, and those are done on a quarterly basis. Column 17 is for those who have contracted slots, which the coalition does not have contracted slots, so that will always be 0. And column 18 also will always be 0. That's for quality initiatives, and we do not have quality initiative contracts. And then your net payment per child is in column 19. So again, at the bottom of each service period, you'll have a total, and if you have multiple periods, you'll have a grand total at the very bottom. Are there any questions?
If you have questions, type them in. And Deanna,
I'm so used to asking questions.
And here's a question for you. If you could type in the answer, this is Roseanne. Was this beneficial to you? Because again, we're interested in having these meetings be productive and effective use of your time as well as our time, and want to make sure that this is something that helped you, because I know personally I've had a couple of providers share this challenge with me, so we thought we would do this. So was this explanation from Deanna beneficial to you? And if you have any additional questions, type them in, and certainly if you have a question after the call, you can email Deanna directly. Any questions, Marcy?
We've had 2 providers say this was very informative. We also have a provider ask, can this be sent in a PDF to us? Elizabeth has sent it out just a few minutes before this meeting. It is also downloadable from your screen. If you press the red arrow button, you'll see documents, the PDFs that are uploaded there. You can actually download it directly from this meeting right there. And we'll get it definitely out again as well. We'll send it out again, or even upload it to Blue Jeans and put it on our website so it'll be accessible for you.
Yeah.
That's it for the providers. We do have another tip sheet for them.
Oh, great. Okay.
So So now you know how to read your reimbursement report. I'm going to show you a few updated items that have come out with some updates to the EFS mod. So, and this will help you read your attendance screen. So while you're doing reimbursement or going back and looking in past months, you'll be able to tell exactly what each of the codes mean.
And just so you know, I sent out a previous version at about 12:30 this afternoon. I sent out a version that wasn't quite as updated as this. So if you're looking at my email, refer to this one on your screen instead, and we'll make sure you get the updated copy.
Yep. So the number one area, this is going to show you at what status each of the children are in for their code description. A blank basically just means your attendance needs to be submitted for that child. P&D is basically telling you that the parent has not signed their certificate. You are still able to submit attendance on that child, though it's just letting you know that the parent needs to log in. SUB is the attendance has been submitted. REJ is where the attendance has been rejected. And APP is when we approve the attendance, then you'll be able to see that we've approved all of those. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the days that you have marked absent at a glance. So if you want to just double check those before you do a final submit. This number 3 area is a new area that has come about. So there's 2, sorry, and there's 3. It wasn't showing completely on the screen. This will actually now tell you when you see a child in red with an REJ, you can go down here now and see why it's been terminated.
Rejected.
And we're trying to put, or sorry, not terminated, rejected. We're trying to put information in there so you know what to do with that child at that point. One of the other pieces that I'm going to give you an update on, as we've been processing reimbursement this month, we have come across some challenges on the absence due to disaster code. So I put a quick little absent reason up here. So as everybody knows, your first 3 absences will automatically be paid. Your 7 absences the following 7 absences will only be paid if authorized documentation is uploaded. You do need to pick your reason for the absence. Now, the due to disaster coding, when OEL authorizes this code to be used for payment based on enrollment, 1 and 2 is how you should follow to complete your rosters. Number 1, this code will be used for any children who do not show up for the entire month. So if you have a child that is out for COVID, parent doesn't want them to come, they're out the whole month, you need to mark that child as absence due to disaster. Number 2, the code will be used for any children that attend that have absences greater than the 3. So at this time, you'll put your 3 excused absences in, and then the rest of the absences, since that we are paying per OEL based on enrollments right now, then you would follow the rest of those absences with absence due to disaster. So hopefully this will walk you through and give you some extra information while you are doing your reimbursement. I'm going to check to see if there's any questions in regards to this right now. Question was, does our coalition participate in registration fee reimbursement? Yes, all Coalition as of July.
Wait, what?
Registration fee reimbursement.
Oh, sorry, that was different. I was thinking professional development.
No, registration. So, yes, they do. We are processing the 1920 right at this moment. So you will start seeing those come through. Now, the only way, and we've had previous discussion on this before in different provider meetings, is you have to have it in your contract and on your profile that you charge a registration fee in order for us to reimburse those.
Okay, we'll pause real quick to see if there's any questions.
And again, if you could let us know, was that beneficial? Was that an effective use of your time for Marcy to go over that with you? And if so, is there anything else specific that you would like additional information on, or a topic you would like to see added to our agenda? So you can type it in the chat box or let Scott or Elizabeth know, and we can add it to one of the upcoming meeting agendas.
Okay. One of the providers has made a comment that absences list is not very helpful as it does not differentiate between an E and an A and a D. When you go into your summary, before you submit, that is where you're going to see the A's and the E's and the D's broken out. So once you go and sign, where you hit the submit button, before you sign at the bottom, that is going to be your summary where you'll see all the codes broken down to the A's, the E's, and the D's. Yes, at this moment, our directive from OEL is that pay by enrollment will end August 31st of 2020. Next question is, how do you claim the registration for reimbursement? For 1920, OEL has authorized us to process all registration fees for the children. So you do not need to do anything to submit to us to receive those registration fees at this time.
That's for last fiscal year.
Last fiscal year.
For fiscal year 1920. Your profile should say, for your 2021 profile, it should say whether or not you charge those registration fees on your private pay, and then actually it's a fee screen. Mary, tell us.
Services.
Tell us without your mask on. Mary's super diligent in wearing her mask, so I got to ask her to yell it out to everybody.
On the provider profile, under the services tab, you're first going to see general, facility, then you're going to see services. When you click on services, the top is going to tell what care levels you are providing for, and as you go down lower, it will tell if you have put in there that you have a registration fee. If 0 is in the box, 0 registration fee is what you will get. If you put $25 per child registration fee, that's what the system is going to read.
Yes, thank you.
For the current year, what we will do is put together a little bit of guidance for the providers, kind of just like these tip sheets, on how we will process registration fees for this current year. So look for that in the future. Let's see. I've got a couple other comments. This was very helpful information, especially when trying, I think, directors and lead staff, I think training is what that was supposed to be, The information is very helpful. Thank you. That particular feature has really helped me.
Good deal. All right, well, moving on the agenda, we're going to move into the school readiness and VPK updates. So first on that, we just wanted to remind folks about your school readiness curriculum and having a required approved curriculum. So as I began initiating new 2021 school readiness contracts a couple weeks ago, and again, these are the ones that where we've already done a class observation for, or you are only required to receive one biennial every other year. So that encompassed about 28 school readiness contracts. And while initiating those, we discovered that really most of you don't have at this point an OEL school readiness approved curriculum. So the curriculum, the approved curriculum, was attached to this, the email that Elizabeth just sent out and to your agenda. So please utilize that. It's on the screen as well. So as you purchase your new curriculums, we do ask that you enter those into the provider portal as soon as you get those. And if you've already had a contract initiated and we go and sign it, later down the road, that will require an amendment. But for those of you who have not received a class observation, we won't be initiating your contracts till later down the road, and those are complete. So by that time, you will have had your curriculum uploaded. So the deadline this year to have an approved school readiness curriculum is September 30th. So we're kind of putting out the reminder for you today, and I'll send out a blast email in addition at the end of this month to remind you again that you've got 30 days to get that curriculum.
And I'd just like to add to that, we have quite a few providers that are very concerned about having to purchase a new curriculum, and we understand that that is an investment that can be in the thousands of dollars to purchase. So I'm going to really encourage you to look over this list and make sure that you aren't using one of these options that are on this list. I think one of the major pieces that was taken off this list is baby doll circle time. That is the one that is impacting most of our providers. So if you are using baby doll circle time as a curriculum to meet the school readiness requirement, that has changed for this year. So let this be just another alert to let you know, really look at your options for curriculum. Now, one thing that we are looking at, and in partnership with OEL and a couple of other things, are ways to help financially support providers. There is more info to come on this. However, please do not wait for our information to come out before you make your choice, because choosing a curriculum is a big deal. It's not just, oh, I'm picking this curriculum to meet the requirement for school readiness. You also need to train your staff. You need to make sure that they have a good understanding of how to implement the curriculum within the classroom, especially if you're making a major change. And what does it look like? If you choose Beyond Centers and Circle Time, which happens to be the first one on the list, if you choose that curriculum, what does that look like in a classroom? Do you understand what that looks like? That curriculum could look very different depending on how you've been trained, where you've received your training, and the staff that you have in your classroom. So these are not decisions that you should make lightly, which is why we started talking about this curriculum change way back, I believe in April. This list came out, we started sending it out. I've had some discussion with providers about preparing for this. We've gotten questions, well, who's going to help pay for it? Please remember, this is a business expense. This is a part of doing business in early childhood education, is choosing a quality curriculum. And part of being one more time. Choosing to be a part of the school readiness program means that you're going to choose to use one of these curricula that have been determined developmentally appropriate for the populations that we serve. This list has a lot of big names on it, so hopefully you'll be able to find something that meets your needs. And we are, again, looking into ways to financially assist you, whether that will look like a reimbursement after you purchase it, or what, we're not sure yet. But we are very well aware that this is a big deal and financially could be very troublesome for some providers. So please know that's on our radar. More to come on that. This is something, though, that you have to keep on your, on the forefront if you're using one of those curricula that will expire. Let's stop and see if there's questions on that. I think we might.
Okay, so the concern is we had just purchased a new curriculum in 2017, and now we have had to purchase all new curriculum again. The concern has been that we will need to make this investment again in another 2 to 3 years.
Well, and that is a valid concern. What I can tell you is, if you look at the past couple of lists that we've had, there are a lot of recurring curricula on there that continue to receive that approval. So you might want to look and see, what are the trends. Beyond Center and Circle Time is a trend. Beyond Crimson Rattles is a trend. Big Day for Pre-K is a trend. Those are creative curriculum. Those are big names that continue to stay on the list. So, you can kind of feel Frog Street. I see a lot of them on here, that Sunshine, Galileo, Gee Whiz, a lot of these, High Scope, Investigator Club, they've all been around for a while. Investigator Club, their newest version, 2018. So it is a valid concern, and this list does get renewed every few years. So it is something to look at. But there are strategies you can use now that you're recognizing that you've purchased curricula a couple times, that you can use a different strategy when you're looking at this. Hopefully you bought one that's one of those big names.
The 2 comments I have: I found High Scope very affordable, and it covers all classes.
Love it. Thank you.
Thanks to the bonuses for first responder kids, we were able to purchase updated curriculum for all ages. Thanks.
That's a great way to use those bonuses. I'll still encourage you, hold on to your receipts, your training certificates, just in case, if the coalition is able to put anything together. We don't want you to get excluded from that in the future, but that's awesome. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Do you mind if I keep going?
Yeah, go.
Okay. The next thing on our agenda is something that we have talked about, you have had questions about. This is regarding school age enrollment. And I want to say last Friday during our conference call with OEL, they finally were able to give us an answer to that school readiness, or that school age child enrollment with you. So I'm going to give you the answer in a little bit of a story. You all know that I have a child, yeah? He's 7. He's going to be in 1st grade. I know. I heard you sigh too. It goes by way too fast. Well, this summer, in the event of this pandemic hitting and not going back to public school, I enrolled my child in a child care center that offers school-age service. If I choose to enroll my child or keep my child enrolled at the child care facility as a school ager, and I'm eligible for full-time school readiness services, then my provider will get paid at the full-time rate. Okay, that's my little story. So let me break it down for you. If you accept a child that's school age and the parent has chosen to do virtual school, so they're attending your site full-time, as long as their family is eligible for full-time school readiness services, you will get reimbursed at the full-time rate. I heard him cheer. Did you hear him cheer?
I did.
I did. You're all muted and we still heard it.
So I'm going to add a little bit to that. We will send out guidance as soon as we know how this will look in MOD.
So right now we have an answer, at least. We don't know what that's going to look like in MOD, but we do have an answer for you. That's a question that has been asked since probably June, because you have been serving these school-age children for longer than you typically would. So we, hopefully that answer, you will get paid at the full-time rate as long as the child, the family, is eligible for full-time care for school readiness.
And yes, comments are coming in that they are cheering.
We were too. When we heard that on the call, we were like, yeah, finally, that's awesome. That is awesome. We're getting answers to questions that we've had, and this is very promising. So that's a great outlook. Let's pause for a second. Do we need to pause?
No.
Okay. Scott already gave you the contract update, so I'm just going to keep us rolling into the VPK update.
Sure.
There is a lot of concern for a lot of our VPK providers, because enrollment is very low, we are taking this, the coalition is taking this very seriously along with you. We are looking at ways of engaging parents more. We are looking at ways of getting the word out. And I want to kind of pause for a second and see what are you all doing to help get your parents enrolled?
And Elizabeth,
yes.
Could you please explain the difference between enrolled and eligible? Because explain to everybody that we have a lot of eligible children,
yes,
but not enrolled. So you might want a refresher on what that difference is.
Right, and Roseanne is absolutely right. So eligible are those families that have gotten their certificate of eligibility. They went through the process on the parent portal to receive their COE or certificate of eligibility. They have been determined that their child can enter VPK. So they have that hot little certificate in their hand, but they haven't chosen a provider yet. Those parents are eligible. Enrolled means they brought their hot little certificate to you as a VPK provider, and you all did a tour and you sang Kumbaya together, and you did all sorts of things to welcome your children over to VPK, and you enrolled them in your VPK program. So that's the difference. And then they're officially a VPK student at your site. So you have the eligible parents that just have their certificate still. Then you have the enrolled certificate, the enrolled parents that have already come to your site. Those COEs need to be submitted to the coalition in order to finalize that enrollment. Go ahead.
So the update there is, do not forget to enroll those children in the EFS mod portal. Once you enroll those children, you have that parent sign that certificate. Highly important to have that parent sign the certificate. And then you're going to upload those certificates into your Blue Jeans portal. We cannot approve those enrollments unless we have the parent's signature on the COEs.
And last, let me think, probably about 2 weeks ago, in an email I sent out to all of our providers, I think it was titled something to the effect of, I sent a lot of emails out. So it was titled something to the effect of, disregard this if you're not a VPK provider. But it was a VPK guidance document. In there gave the description of how to upload your COE to Blue Jeans. So you can go back to that. We'll resend that out with our next update that we send, just so that you have it again. So that's a big deal. I would like to stop and kind of see, what are you guys doing to recruit parents? Let's have a little bit of a dialogue about, with you putting it in the comments so that we're not all echoey. What's going on at your VPK location? Bear with us. We're looking through what you're typing right now. No comment? Cricket. Oh my.
That's not good.
Okay. Well, I would like some feedback from everybody who's a VPK provider on what are you doing to advertise your program, because we know what we're looking into. We're about to launch some billboards in our community, encouraging parents to register for VPK. What are you hearing from parents? We did get some feedback from one provider of ours who said that he's hearing from his parents that they are fearful of coming back to VPK. My question to that is, where was the child before VPK started? Because a lot of you have had a lot of children enrolled all summer. So where are your 3-year-olds? Are they enrolling? Please let us know what are your challenges, because we cannot help combat this or recruit families or anything else if we don't know what's going on at your site or what you're doing.
And remember, VPK is a state-funded program, and it is guaranteed. We are certainly working with the Office of Early Learning on flexible options and are waiting for additional guidance from that. So if you are a provider that you weren't sure, are you going to do VPK or not, look at a January date. If you don't want an August date because of all of the uncertainties, that's fine. You can create a calendar of 540 hours starting in January through the end of the school year. Obviously, it would be a longer day than a full school year, but that option is out there. If you're waiting to see what is going to be available, whether or not you're going to have the option for virtual VPK, I would suggest to you that it's not going to be able to be 100% virtual. It is probably going to be a mixture there. So look at your calendars. Have your plans ready to go. We are keeping you as updated as we possibly can as OEL, the Office of Early Learning, provides us with additional information. And we do know that options are being explored. So remember, school year, 540-hour program. How are you going to do that? That's your biggest challenge right now. If part of it is virtual, part of it has to be face-to-face, brick and mortar, in a classroom type thing. So there's a lot of things that are being talked about, but we need to know what you are hearing, what your parents are saying, and are they going to be open, if not right now, to potentially putting them in VPK in a classroom setting come January? Marcy, you got questions?
I've got comments and questions.
Yay.
So I'll go through quite a bit, the comments quickly. Even after enrollment, parents are not bringing their children.
Okay.
Parents who enrolled do not want their children to attend due to COVID.
Okay.
We started our VPK classes yesterday. We have 26 children, all from word of mouth, no advertising.
Nice. Awesome. That's great news.
We advertise through social media and word of mouth.
Yes. Social media is your friend. We just launched something yesterday. Feel free to share anything that pops up on the Coalition website, like us, and then share it out because it's created content for you already. You don't have to do anything else. Just share it out.
My VPK came through my current enrollment. Those children attending VPK are those who were already in child care.
Yeah, awesome.
But new students are not attending or enrolling.
Right.
Stay-at-home parents seem to be the ones concerned about sending their children outside the home.
Okay, we can understand that.
Some of our families have chosen not to attend VPK due to COVID. However, we will still have 3 full classes when we start.
Great. That's awesome. Yeah.
Definitely more COVID. Parents not coming. Bear with me.
So while Marcy's catching up on that, I just want to remind you, please, if you are holding on to any because you're trying to wait for that 4th enrollment, please go ahead and upload your COE so that we can get those processed. One thing that is a challenge for us every year, even in a non-pandemic year, is when all of our providers upload their COEs at the same time and you need those enrollments to occur so that you can claim your attendance. The more you can do now, please just upload them to BlueJean and we'll get them processed. And that way it's all ready for you when you're ready to start your program.
We are currently down about 33 students in VPK. This will significantly impact our program. We had more children enrolled, but several have dropped out since the numbers have continued to increase. We have had many that have said since it is voluntary, they will forego this year. Some have asked about virtual options as well. We have debated staffing someone to run a program like that, and it would be state and wouldn't be state funded. It would be privately funded. We are also looking at opening classes in January of 21.
Excellent. I would like to know for those of you, if you have chosen outlets to advertise your program, can you share out or just at least put in the comments so we can look what has been your most successful investment? Because it is we're respectful of your time. We have a few more updates that we need to bring out on the agenda, and we're going to kind of pause right there on the VPK, and we'll look at all the comments that you're putting in. So let's move very quickly through the rest of the agenda so that we can wrap up our day and respect your time.
So very quickly, just a brief update reminder on the VPK assessments. So just a reminder that if the day you start your VPK fall program, you'll have 30 days from that date to complete the child assessment, and then 45 days to enter it into Bright Beginnings. So for example, if you started yesterday on August the 10th, those VPK assessments would be due on September 10th and must be entered into the Bright Beginning system by September 25th.
That's a huge deal, because if that does not occur, you could lose your contract, and we don't want that to happen. That's why we keep throwing VPK assessments out there, and we are aware of an issue or two with Bright Beginnings, and Marcy is on it with Mary's help, and we're on it. So hang tight if you're having an issue in Bright Beginnings.
Next on our agenda, we actually have on the line right now Lily Howard, who's a part of our quality team. She's one of our professional development specialists, and she wanted to speak for a few minutes about the CCR&R Technical Assistance Resource and give some professional development updates. Lily, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Take it away. You're welcome. Thank you.
Make it
Thank
quick,
you so
Lily.
much. I miss you guys. I can't wait to come back. Oh, hey y'all. So real quick, we had I received some information about Emergency Child Care and Technical Assistance Center that's available through the Child Care Aware website. Marcy, I don't know if you were able to bring that up, but they have resources there that if you're aware with Child Care Aware, they are Child Care Aware of America, so it corresponds with all of America. And they have frequently asked questions about COVID-19's impact on the child care system, ongoing resources to help you support child care providers during the crisis, and they also have an opportunity for you to receive individualized support from their team. The way it's set up is really simple, and you can just kind of click on the questions.
We
Oh,
can
thank
put
you,
that-
Marcy.
Lily,
We can
go
put the
ahead.
link in the, yeah, we'll put the link there. Also, I'm really excited. Guess what's back? CPR. Yay! I know a lot of people have been asking about CPR. It is going to be hybrid. The first class will be September 12th. Please look for that in a queue, look for that on our website soon to be able to register. They are scheduled through January 9th. So very happy about that. Also, we have Ron Shuali coming. Any of you who have been to the One Goal conference may remember him being the keynote speaker there. And he will be doing a webinar training with us on August 29th. And it will be available to register on the website soon as well. And what he's going to be talking about is the empowered educator, and we all need that, right? We all need to feel empowered a little bit. And he's going to share 3 success secrets to terrific teaching. Not that you guys don't already do a job, but I think you're really going to love the way he presents it, and you'll be sure to laugh and learn. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lily. Thanks for this.
Awesome. Thank you. And yeah, you can look for pretty soon. We'll have our trainings up on Acuity, probably within the next week, if that, so that we can get that. You can start registering for those trainings that are coming up. Moving down on our agenda really quickly, just to talk about COVID-19 updates. In the update on Saturday, I just included a lot of our local information. So Richard from DCF had mentioned earlier, make sure you're looking at your local ordinances, because that is important. And I did get a couple of questions from providers about masks and things of that nature when it comes to the city passing that ordinance that the mayor actually vetoed yesterday. So that is not going to be put in play. The next, right now, at least for right now, correct, as of today. The next thing on the COVID update, parent copays. Parent copays are being waived. So that means the coalition will continue to pay them through August 31st. And the BG1 ESS, that the first responder essential medical personnel program that we had, we stopped taking new enrollments on July 31st. However, those that were already in care, if they were eligible to be renewed, we are renewing their services for an additional 3 months. So just continue to watch for your certificates. We are receiving updated referral forms from their employers daily. We continue to process those through. There are still some that were already eligible on July 31st that we are still enrolling. So those are, because we have to work with the outside entity, which is different for us as far as working with the employers, sometimes it's a little more timely of a process than we'd like to get these parents actually enrolled at your site. So there are still some that are trickling in that are brand new enrollments. So you're just going to be paying attention for those certificates to come through to your EFS mod. And just remember, you do have to accept the enrollments now. The coalition is not enrolling on your behalf anymore. So if you're wondering where those parents are, expecting certain parents to be enrolled, you'll need to go into EFS mod and check the enrollment and make sure that you accept that enrollment so that that person shows up, that child shows up on your attendance roster. Marcy mentioned earlier, you are getting paid through the month of August for enrollment and not attendance. So that is the same thing that we've been doing since March, I believe, for at least the month of August. So we recommend that you stay tuned to find out how we're going to work September. It'll be a fun surprise for all of us because we don't know either. So as soon as we know, we'll definitely let you know. Please continue to watch your email. Please continue to pay attention to these calls when we have them. And the last thing under the COVID update is we got a question about liability due to a positive COVID test in your site. So the question was, what is the coalition stance on being liable if somebody tests positive in our program? And the coalition doesn't have a stance on that. That is something that you should consult with your own attorney on. The liability piece, as far as if somebody has tested positive and they were at your site, that is not something the coalition can speak on behalf of. That is a legal issue, and you should definitely consult with an attorney on that. I'm going to stop for a second and see if there's any questions. We're good. All right, I'm going to keep going. Scott and I've done a really good job, I think. Scott's done a really good job taking over this agenda, and we are smooth sailing right now. So you all have been patiently awaiting information on the success story teaser that we put out the last time. In the email I sent today, there is an application, and it's not really an application, it's more of a template. It's a success story submission form. Now, what we are offering, I think it's a pretty awesome offer, is in exchange for a success story about how you have worked with a family that has enrolled at your site. It must include a photo and a release from the parent so that we can use it in social media. These are your bragging rights, by the way. So this is how you get to tell us your story of everything that you have done to support these families, not just through COVID, but just in the fact that you do school readiness. That's not easy for you to meet all the contractual requirements. I don't have to tell you that, but I do want us to be able to brag about what you've done at your site. So a couple of things that goes with this is that the client that you are writing the story about, the family, they must be a recipient of school readiness services or VPK services. They can be in any billing group. So if you have a great story about a first responder or essential medical personnel, bring it on too. We want to hear it all. We're only asking for one from each site. If you are interested in receiving one of the educational items we have to distribute to you, They also have to be currently enrolled at your center or home, unless it is a truly remarkable story and they've just outgrown your site. Maybe they went to kindergarten or are going to kindergarten in a few weeks, whatnot. But they do need to be enrolled at your site. So you have to have a photo with the story. You have to have parent consent. The other thing is you have to remain contracted with us throughout this entire fiscal year. If you cut your contract prior to June 30th, when you cut that contract or unfortunately we are no longer eligible to be contracted with us, that's not going to happen to any of you, I know it. We will ask for this item back because it's a big deal. So the other thing is you're certifying that the item that we distribute to you in conjunction with this particular program will be used at your site, at your child care facility. So nobody's taking it home to use it at home. Nobody's giving the crib over to their expecting daughter. You're using these things for the purpose that they were purchased for. So those are certifications. By submitting that, you are agreeing to the criteria and the assurances there. The application is built to kind of help you write the story, okay? So when you put your site name on it, your email, your phone number, you're going to choose whether you'd like the ScanSnap scanner or the heavy-duty evacuation crib that does have casters on it, and it comes with a crib sheet. You're going to choose that. Then you're going to go into this family that you're going to talk about. So you're going to give us the parent's name, the child or children's name and ages, what program they're enrolled with, if they're school readiness or VPK. If they're both, you can just check both. And then once you complete this entire form, you're going to upload it to BlueJean because it has confidential information on it, even though you got a consent, I know, but we still want you to upload it to BlueJean for safety purposes. The next page, it gives you a couple of questions to answer. Like what barriers did the family or child face before they entered the VPK program or school readiness program, before they were at your site? Was there a reason why they got enrolled in VPK or school readiness? What resources did you use while you were working with these families? I really hope you put us down, but I want to know. If you use somebody else or if there's another program in the community that's been really beneficial to helping your services, we want to know those things. And then what successes have you seen with this family because of your help and your support and our support as a community? So maybe you had a family that was living in their car, but because they were able to come to you every day and you were able to support them through it, they secured housing. That's phenomenal. I would love to hear that. We would love to hear that. There is a place for a quote from the parent. We do need you to involve the families in this, please. You're going to have to get consent to share their story. And then there is the spot for the success story itself. If you need to attach a separate page, that's fine. Please know, I'm going to encourage you to pretend like what you submit to us is getting published in the Star Banner or on Facebook. It is getting published out to the public. We want to be proud of how you write it. So you're going to spell check as your friend, be grammatically correct, write it out, come from the heart, tell us your story, okay? Pretend like Oprah is interviewing you, okay? We want to know that story into those details. I love when I make my team giggle and they have to cover their mouth so you can't hear them giggling. So then the last page of the application is the parent consent and the photo release. So the parent's name goes in that first line. The kids' names go on the 6 lines below. If they have more than 6 kids, there's a big old space underneath the parent's signature. Also say a prayer for them. But if they have more than 6 kids, you're going to put that below there. Have them sign and date it, please, and upload that with the completed application. And there is a description of the heavy-duty evacuation crib, which actually looks really comfortable. I may test one out in the office here. Or the scanner. So you can see what they are. A couple of you, when we teased about this, said, is it the scanners that you guys have at the office? Yes, it is. It's actually the updated version of it. And I love my little scanner. His name is Henry. He's been with me for about 8 years now, and we have a beautiful relationship. It's probably the healthiest relationship I've ever had with Henry. So he works, he's great, and he continues to scan everything I need to be scanned for 8 years and running. So,
Only man that listens to you, right?
you know.
He never gets wrinkles.
And he doesn't get wrinkles. That's what Mary said, which is true story. And he scans front and back. So there's just a lot going on over here at the coalition, and we want you to be a part of it. So please consider submitting a success story so that we can use it. The purpose for this is because the Office of Early Learning often has us ask us, you know, what is going on with you? Why do you do what you do? And not only the Office of Early Learning, but our partners, DCS, anybody else, United Way, anybody that we're trying to partner with, the YMCA, I don't know, who else? Anybody, everybody. Marshalls, PNC Bank, all of these great opportunities. They want us to brag about you, and we want to brag about you because, you know, you've heard me say it a lot of times. We say thank you all the time to you. Well, we want to show the community why they should be thanking you, because a lot of times you're the front line. Without you, we can't be working. So I did not put a due date on this because I don't want you to rush to write a story just because you need one of those items. I want you to write this story because your heart is telling you to write this story. And we want to be able to use this story for multiple reasons and recognize who you are. Okay, so we will continue to accept your stories as long as we continue to have scanners and cribs in the back, which we do have plenty. So yeah, write your story. We have one last thing to cover before we say goodbye, and go ahead, Scott.
Okay, so the final thing on the agenda is an infant toddler survey. So we want to gauge, you know, what's going on with our providers who serve infants and toddlers. We decided to do it by putting a brief survey through this call. And if you look on the screen, you'll see it's just a 3-question survey. So if you all could take just a few minutes or the next minute, or it should just take you a minute really, to answer those 3 questions for us, we really appreciate it.
There's 3 questions. I'm going to let them run for about 45 seconds each till we get as many votes as we can.
And we thank you for your extra time that you all are always so patient with us, and we appreciate it. We hope that these are very informative. While you're answering those questions, our next meeting is on August 25th, and that is going to be kind of our open house / orientation, where we get to introduce you to a lot of the different things that the coalition is still offering, even through our pandemic time. So if you have any questions or you have something you really want us to cover, please just let us know.
And a quick reminder too that these, all of our provider meetings are recorded and they're available to you on our YouTube channel. So just give us about 2 to 3 days. It takes us to post these up, but if you need access to any previous meetings, you can find them there.
All right, so with that, we can look and see if you have any questions while you're answering your poll that's open there. And you know, we do these polls because we want to stay relevant and make sure we're offering you things that are beneficial to you, and we use this information to kind of guide programming and things of that nature.
Does toddler include 2-year-olds?
Yes.
We serve starting at 18 months old. I got about another 15 seconds on the one that's up on the screen. Okay, I'm going to the next one.
Thank you so much for participating in these questions, Dewey. this poll. Do we have any other questions that we need to?
Not at the moment.
All right.
We got about another 15 seconds on this one.
We'll continue to carry through with our poll, but we are going to say goodbye. So when you're done with your poll, feel free to exit and have a great day. We hear it's thundering, raining outside, so enjoy our Florida weather and get creative inside.